Did you know that Ozzy Osbourne and Chris Cornell almost recorded with Van Halen? My name is Rafael, you're watching Rock and Roll Garage, and today we're going to talk about that. But first, please like the video, subscribe, and leave your comment. Well, that's right. That's a really interesting story that the legendary Van Halen co-founder and drummer Alex Van Halen shared in a recent interview with Rolling Stone magazine. It's his first interview probably in almost a decade, ever since the band made their final reunion tour, their final shows, and almost a decade ago. And he shared some really interesting things, not only about Eddie's failed tribute tour that we already explained in another video. You can watch it here if you want to. And one really interesting thing he told is that Ozzy Osbourne and Chris Cornell could have recorded with Van Halen. And we're going to start with Ozzy. The thing is, back in the early thousands, Van Halen was between singers. Obviously, they had been for a few years with Gary Sharon. Then the band was not active. They tried to record again with David Lee Roth, to reunite with David Lee Roth, and they ended up reuniting with Sammy Hagar briefly, and they had the idea to maybe do an album with Ozzy Osbourne. So they sat down with Sharon Osbourne, who is Ozzy's longtime manager, and obviously his wife, and they really, and both of them liked the idea, and when they were really about to maybe start to work on some material and jam and go to the studio, the Ozzy Osbourne family accepted MTV's offer to do the reality show The Osbournes. And if wasn't for MTV doing that reality show, maybe these days we could have a collaborative album between Van Halen and Ozzy Osbourne. I mean, and this is what Alex said about that. This is exactly what he told Rolling Stone about this. He said, when you get a dog, you don't expect it to be a cat. When you get an Ozzy, you get Ozzy. Play the music, he will sing, and it's gonna be great. That's what Alex said about this. And Rolling Stone reached Ozzy, and he commented about this, and he said, yes, we were discussing it. It is something that if it had come to fruition would have been phenomenal. Eddie and Alex were great friends of mine for a very long time, and it's a regret of mine that we never got it together. The Osbournes got in the way of creating new music at the time, unfortunately. That's what Ozzy said about this, and it's quite interesting because they first met each other back in 1978, about 1978, when Black Sabbath was promoting their final record at the time with Ozzy Osbourne, which was Never Say Die, and Van Halen was promoting their groundbreaking debut album released in that same year, and they were Black Sabbath's opening act. That's how, for example, Eddie Van Halen's long friendship with Tony Iommi, Black Sabbath's guitarist, started, and they were friends till the end. And another interesting thing is that Eddie Van Halen, if you didn't know that, he co-wrote the Black Sabbath song back in 1994 when Ozzy wasn't part of the band. Obviously, they were in England at the time, and Van Halen was in England, and at the same time Black Sabbath was in the studio recording the 1994 album Cross Purposes, which had Tony Martin on vocals and Geezer Butler, for example, on bass. He was back in the band, and he co-wrote a song called Evil Eye, and it's quite a cool song, and it's quite an underrated era of Black Sabbath, in my opinion. I like Tony Martin era. But let's go to the second person that almost and could have recorded with Van Halen, who was the late legendary Chris Cornell, probably one of the greatest singers from the past decades, who tragically left us a few years ago. And Alex said the same thing in the interview with Rolling Stone about Chris, and he said that the legendary Soundgarden and Audioslave vocalist, shortly before his death, jammed a lot with the Van Halen brothers, and then only with Alex when Eddie had to step back for a while to take care of his health. And this is what he said: Chris was in a very fragile part of his life, so to speak. I got behind the drums and he started playing bass. We played for 45 minutes. This motherfucker got so into it, he started bleeding. I said, this is the man you want. And then he died. That's what Alex said about Chris, and it's really, obviously it's really sad that we never got to hear something made with Ozzy Osbourne, but you know, it's even more tragic that we lost Chris the way we lost it. And you know, it's almost always a tragic when someone passes away that way. And you know, he was certainly one of the greatest singers from the past decades, and it would have been amazing to see what he could do with the Van Halen brothers. And that's it. I hope you liked this video. If you want to know more about what Alex said recently about the failed Eddie Van Halen tribute tour, about finishing unfinished Van Halen songs with Robert Plant on vocals, and a possible future Van Halen biopic, we explained that in the video that it is in the description or right here, and you can discover more about that. And obviously go to rollingstone.com or to the description and visit the incredible and revealing Alex Van Halen interview. And that's it. I hope you liked the video. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and leave your comment. Tell me what you think. If it would have been good to have Ozzy or Chris as Van Halen's vocalist, at least for a collaborative album or even a song. And thank you for watching, and I see you later.